GlobalProtect Remote Access VPN Portal. Okay everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at configuring the GlobalProtect portal. And this is step one, and involves enabling the portal. And the portal is just a web front end that it's enabled on the Palo Alto's outside interface or the external facing interface to allow your remote users to download the GlobalProtect client. Once they install that GlobalProtect client on their machines or endpoints, they can establish a VPN tunnel to the environment. So they can do a remote access VPN connection to the GlobalProtect gateway. Once we enable, or once we're ready to configure the portal, we need to create an authentication profile, and that authentication profile will be attached to the GlobalProtect portal. So anyone that is member of that authentication profile, either you select local users or add your remote LDAP or Active Directory server, any user that belongs to the security group that is allowed to go to the GlobalProtect portal will be able to sign in and download the client. So let's go ahead and configure the GlobalProtect portal. Okay. In order for us to enable the GlobalProtect portal, we need to configure some prerequisites. This will allow the portal to be enabled on that outside interface. We need to create a local VPN user for this example, and also create a VPN users group. So any member that would like to have remote access VPN to the environment will be able to do so once it's added into the VPN users group. We then need to continue creating an authentication profile, and what that's going to do, it's going to select the type of authentication that we want to use on our GlobalProtect portal. So the GlobalProtect portal, basically a website that allows the end user to download that GlobalProtect client. And we need to tell what type of user is allowed to log in into that portal, and we can then point our VPN users group to be the group that is allowed to access the portal. Once we create that authentication profile, we need to create that certificate signing request. In this case, if we want, by the way, this is a recommended way of going, you should definitely generate a certificate signing request and upload that to your external CA authority. In this case, if you have, for example, GoDaddy or DigiCert, have that CSR generated on Palo Alto, then signed by your external authority. Or in this case, for this demonstration, we're just going to do a self-signed certificate. Once we have that, then we can attach that certificate into a SSL or TLS service profile. What that's going to do is going to tell the portal what certificate it's going to use for that web front end. SSL port 443, it's the port that is going to be listening for users that want to hit the portal. Then they need to have a certificate that they need to trust. There's a certificate that is put in front of the portal in order for us to have a secure connection to our environment. And finally, we are going to configure and enable the GlobalProtect portal once we have all those prerequisites created and enabled. So let's go ahead and configure each step, and let's enable the GlobalProtect portal. Okay, so once you're inside your Palo Alto, so once you logged in into your PA, you're going to create a local user, and this will be the user that is going to be allowed to hit that GlobalProtect portal. So let's go ahead and click on users, and you can see I already have a VPN user created. This is basically a local user, and this user will be added into the VPN users group. If we go into the users group, I already have a VPN users group. You can see here that I just allowed the VPN user 1 into the VPN users group. Let's go ahead and create an authentication profile. We'll click authentication profile, so we're still on device, authentication profile, and we'll click add, and let's call this your GlobalProtect auth profile. So we label this GlobalProtect authentication profile, and the type. This is where we can select. Either we can go local, so you remember we'll configure a local VPN users group. So in this case, we're going to use a local database, but we have more options. We can do LDAP, Radius, TACACS, SAML, or Kerberos. In our case, we're just going to do a local database. Local database, and because it's local, we don't need to add a domain prefix to the authentication profile. And this is what the Palo Alto is going to look for the actual user input. So if we go on to advanced, and here we're going to allow that particular group into the GlobalProtect portal via this profile. So you can see here, I just clicked add on the allowed list, and I'm going to add my VPN users group. We'll press OK. And we are done for the authentication profile. So we're set with the auth profile. Now we're going to create a certificate. We need to generate a certificate that it's going to be attached to the GlobalProtect portal. So let's go ahead and click certificate. Under certificate management, we'll go to certificates. We'll click generate, and you're going to be presented with this window where it's going to ask you if you have a local or an external issuing your certificate. In our case, we're just going to have a local certificate. We're going to call this GlobalProtect portal cert. Okay. Common name, and this is a very important item. Because we're just doing a self-signed certificate, I'm just going to add a generic name. In theory, you should definitely add this with the public-facing DNS record. So in case, for example, you want people to connect to an URL where they're going to be able to download that client, they can do it with a friendly name instead of having an IP address. So in our case, imagine this scenario where I want my company to download that client via remote.company.com. So that will be the website, and I type company as my name of the company, so you can type your own company name, and I'm just calling this remote.company.com. So every user that wants to have remote access and needs to download the client, you will tell them, hey, just go to this website. They can pull or they can retrieve that GlobalProtect client. Signed by, well, in this case, because we're not going to be signing a certificate against an external authority, we're just going to make ourselves a certificate authority. So the Palo Alto is basically going to do a self-signed certificate for this demonstration. And again, make sure that you don't go self-signed certificate for public-facing web services. That's the no-no. You definitely need to have an external authority issue certificate. So make sure that this is just demonstration, okay? And this is where you can change the algorithm. You can put the encryption bit. You can select your digest, etc. So I'm just going to click generate, and you can see that the Palo Alto has successfully generated a certificate and a key pair. And now we have a certificate, and it's showing valid, expiration, and this is the expiration date. Okay, so now we have the certificate. Now we need to create an SSL TLS service profile where we're going to point that certificate to. We're going to call this GlobalProtect portal service profile. And here we're going to select our previously made certificate. So there you go. I am attaching the certificate. And I'm going to tell that I want to negotiate TLS version 1.1 or anything that is above 1.1. And this is how you can tell the Palo Alto, I want to negotiate this particular encryption protocol. So I want to have TLS version 1.1 as my minimal protocol to negotiate between my client and then anything that is above that. We'll press OK. We have the certificate attached to the service profile. Now that we have that, we should be good to configure the GlobalProtect portal. We're going to go onto network, and we're going to click GlobalProtect. So you can see here under network, I have interfaces. So right below, you're going to see the subsection of GlobalProtect, and in there, you're going to see the portal. We're going to click on portals, and we're going to create our first GlobalProtect portal. That's my name, and I'm going to select my outside interface. In this case, it's interface Ethernet 1/1. Now I'm going to select an IPv4 address, and this is the address that is going to be used to establish a connection to our portal. And I'm going to select my public-facing IP, and you can see this is a private IP. And the reason why it's showing as a private IP is because this firewall is running as a virtual firewall in Azure. So I have a cloud Palo Alto firewall running in Azure, and basically the Palo Alto is going to show a private IP, but I actually have a secondary public IP attached in my Azure resource group. You can see here, I am on my Microsoft Azure account, so I have a Palo Alto deployed on the cloud. And what I had to do was basically on my outside interface, and you can see the subnet is the untrust subnet, and you can see that .1.4, and that was the IP of my external facing IP on the Palo Alto. I just attached a public IP, and this is a real public IP, that the end users will use to get to the GlobalProtect portal. This is a very good way to deploy a firewall in the cloud. You just basically deploy either pay-as-you-go at Palo Alto, or you can bring your own license and you can deploy the Palo Alto on the cloud. I just want to show you this as an example, or what am I doing to present this section, and have a true testing environment so we can know that from the outside we can definitely reach the GlobalProtect portal. Okay, so now that you saw that private IP is actually attached to a public IP, appearance. we can let the Palo Alto use the factory default portal login page, but we can also customize that. So if you want to customize, you can create a custom portal login page. In this case, we're not going to show that, but you can definitely customize this portal page to whatever your environment suits, or you want to customize it to have it more graphical or something that is more related to your environment, you can do so. For in our case, I'm just going to leave it as the default. Same with the landing. So once you log in, you're going to get presented with the website or the web page that you can use to download that GlobalProtect client. And this is the default landing page. Authentication. Okay, we're now going to select that SSL and TLS service profile. You remember that we created a profile? This is where we're going to choose that profile, which will have already that certificate attached. And once we have the profile, we need to add our authentication profile. So remember, we created an authentication profile and we added the VPN users group. So we'll click on add. And we'll click here, this is the auth profile, our authentication profile for the portal. And we're gonna allow any OS version to authenticate. And we're then gonna attach that authentication profile that we created earlier that has the VPN users group. Okay, and the GlobalProtect app login screen, this is what you can do to customize what is the label on the actual portal. So what's going to show the end user what they need to type in order for them to have access to the environment, so you can customize that information that is shown on the portal. In authentication message, I am actually going to customize this so you can see that we can definitely customize the page. Okay, I'm just adding here authorized users only, and I should see that once I enable the portal. We'll click OK. And you also have agents that can also be attached to the portal, but in our case, we're just going to do a very basic portal. So you can have agents and attach it to specific external gateways that will also serve as part of the GlobalProtect portal. And I can have clientless VPNs. In this case, we're going to use the GlobalProtect client. So I'm not going to be doing a presentation on client's VPN, but if you want a specific service that not necessarily needs to have a GlobalProtect client, it just needs to have a TLS SSL connection to your on-prem using the portal, they can do so. And satellite, you can definitely connect multiple instances onto this particular portal configuration. I am not going to proceed to do that. It's basically creating the portal so you can take a look at how it's configured, and it's very, very, very straightforward. We're going to press OK. Now that we have the portal, guess what? We just need to enable it and we should be good to go. Okay, so I'm committing my changes and then we'll test and see how that goes. Okay, so if you remember, I was on my Azure Palo Alto, and I do have a public IP that is attached to the private IP that is sitting on the outside interface on the cloud Palo Alto. So I have that public IP, so I should be able to hit that public IP and hit the portal. And boom, there you go. So I do have the GlobalProtect portal, and it's asking me for a username and password. Let's go ahead and type that username and password. And sure enough, so here we go. We have now the capability of downloading the GlobalProtect client straight out of the actual portal. So we have the link to download the agent, and this is basically the GlobalProtect client. And once we install that on our endpoints, we should be able to establish a GlobalProtect connection to the gateway. If I want to download it for a Mac format, I can do it, or Windows 32 and 64-bit. So if I click one of them, there you go. I am now downloading GlobalProtect agent from my Azure Palo Alto firewall. Okay, one last thing. Now that we know that the GlobalProtect portal is actually working, we need to also discuss that the GlobalProtect agent is updated on a regular basis. So once you click on the device, you're going to scroll right below, almost at the end, and you're going to see the GlobalProtect client link or section. We'll click here. And this is all the versions that are available on our Palo Alto for our GlobalProtect client. If you can see here, it shows my version, size, and the date that it was released, along with the checkmark if it was downloaded and it's actually active. So if you have this particular checkmark enabled, so you have this 3.00 as your activated version, it's the one that is going to be shown on the GlobalProtect portal. So say, for example, you want to upgrade, and you can see we're pretty much behind the latest and greatest. We just need to download the base of the next version that we want to go to. In our case, we want to go to 4.0. So we just click download, and we should have now the version 4.0 on our Palo Alto. Once we have a version 4.0 and we just downloaded that from the Palo Alto's cloud service. So once we download that version, we can then say, well, I want to upgrade our portal and our clients to use 4.0. We'll click on Activate, and we'll click Yes. Once we activate, then the GlobalProtect portal will start serving 4.0. If we want to upgrade to a newer version, we just do the same. We'll select the base, and then we'll select any increments inside the base. So for example, if I want to upgrade 4.0, from 4.0.0, and we want to upgrade everyone to the latest version in the base, which the base in this case is 4.0.0, and the latest version in 4.0, or the last version in 4.0, it was 4.0.8. We can then select download, and now we should have 4.0.8. And then once it finishes download, then we can activate the same way we did before. Let's wait until it finishes. We'll click close, and we'll activate. We should have 4.0.8 as our enabled client. And you can keep going up to 5 if you want. But now the GlobalProtect portal will be serving 4.0.8. Okay everyone, so we just finished our GlobalProtect portal session. In our next video, we're going to enable the actual GlobalProtect remote access VPN gateway. Thank you for watching.